In this lesson, we're going to use cross-account access to assume a role and then access an S3 bucket. So in account A here, we have a role. And the role is going to be assumed by the user in account B. Of course, you're going to need 2 accounts in order to complete this exercise. Now, the S3 bucket in account A does not have any public sharing. So there's no way that the user in account B can access it without assuming the role. Now, a CLI command is going to be issued that's going to include something called an external ID. I'll show you more about that in a moment. Now, the role has a permissions policy that allows access to the bucket, and the trust policy has a reference to this external ID. So there's a condition that the string must equal whatever the external ID is. Think of that as basically a passphrase that is private and not shared publicly. Now, in this case, the principal is going to be the account number of the other AWS account of account B. Now, what's going to happen is the SGS assume role with external ID is going to be issued using the CLI in this case, and the user will be able to access the S3 bucket. I'm in CloudShell and I'm going to make a new bucket. So I'm going to use the AWS S3 MB command to then give it a bucket name, which is going to be cross account test, and then some random code just to make sure it's unique. Okay, I've got my bucket. So now we have a bucket. And of course, this bucket is going to be private. It's not going to be open to anyone. We've got block public access. We don't have a bucket policy. So only people in this account with permissions will be able to access this bucket. Now I'm just going to add a file. Doesn't matter what file you upload. I'll just upload this JSON file we used in the previous lesson. Click on upload, and I've now got a file. The next thing we need to do is create an IAM role. Now there is a file in your course download to just give you a bit more information on this. And what we're seeing is that we're here where we're going to create the role in the target account, so the account that has the S3 bucket. So what we do is we create a role, we choose another account as the trusted entity, and provide the account ID. So of course we do need 2 accounts for this exercise. Now I have an organization, so I'm actually going to perform the test from the other account in this organization. So here I can find the account ID that I need. So I'm going to copy that account ID for my second account. I'm in this management account at the moment. Come back to IAM. We'll create a role, choose AWS account, another account, and then put in the account ID. I'm also going to require an external ID. It's kind of like a password. I'll just call it pass123456. And then let's click on next. I'm not going to apply a permissions policy yet. Let's just go through and give this a name. I'll call it cross account test. And we can see the trusted entity here is the principal AWS. So this is an account and we've provided the account number. So this should allow people in that second account to be able to assume the role as long as they supply this secret passphrase here. It's called the external ID. So let's create this role, and then we need to find the role and just provide the permissions. So let's go into this role, click on add permissions, and we're just going to use an inline policy. Go to JSON. Of course, we're going to delete out this code, and then back in this document, I'm going to copy all of this policy code here. And this is simply going to allow the S3 get object, put object, and list bucket API actions. And we need to update the resource ARN. So let's paste that in. Let's go and get the ARN for our bucket. It's just going to copy the bucket ARN from here, come back, and let's paste this one in, and then do the same on the second line here, making sure we keep the / because we want to apply the object level permissions. So let's go through the review. I'll just call it cross account test again, and then let's create the policy. So that's the role setup. We should now be able to assume this role from the other account and get access to the S3 bucket. So what do we need to do? Well, back in the command file here, we're going to run this command from the other account. Okay, so this one is looking for the target account ID and role name. So we're just going to take the full ARN for the role. So back in the role here, I'll copy the ARN. Let's come back, and after where it says role-ARN, let's paste the entire ARN in here. And then we need the external ID. Well, I know what that is. That's pass123456. And that is ready now. Once we get to that account, we're also going to need the bucket name. So let's copy that now. So just copy the full name of your bucket, not the ARN. And that's going to go in this AWS S3 ls command. So now we have this information. What we can do is switch roles to the second account, use CloudShell to run this assume role command, and then try to issue the list command against the S3 bucket. So the first thing I need to do is switch roles, and let's head over to CloudShell. We'll do it from here. I'm going to click on switch role. I need the account ID, so I'm just going to come back to organizations here and copy this account ID, put that in. The role name is the standard organization account access role, and then for display name, I'm just going to put this as cross account test. And let's make this one green, and then simply switch role. So now I've switched roles to the second account, and it's loading CloudShell for me. So while that's happening, let's come back, and I'm simply going to copy this entire command to assume role. Now what will happen is when we run this command, it's going to provide temporary security credentials. We then need to configure those credentials on the command line. And we'll do that by using the AWS configure set, and we'll supply the access key ID, the secret access key, and the session token. So we need to fill those out here. Okay, so let's paste this command, and there we go. This is the output. So what I'm going to do is copy this output. So let's just copy all of the output. And back in my file here, I'm just going to paste it in just above these commands. Now we can see the access key ID, the secret access key, and the session token. So I'm going to copy the access key ID, paste that in here. I'm going to copy the secret access key, and then do the same on this second line of these three commands. And then the last one is a big one, so make sure you get the right code. So it starts here, just after the quotation marks, and finishes here. And then let's paste that in. And you'll definitely be wanting to use something like Visual Studio Code to make sure that you don't get any line breaks in the wrong places. This should appear as 3 lines, no more. So now I can actually run this command, and this will configure the access key ID. Now let's configure the secret access key, and then lastly this big command here to configure the session token. And then finally, let's try and run this command using the profile target account. So we configured a certain profile here in these commands. That's where we've specified the access key ID, secret access key, and session token. So as long as we specify the profile, it will use these credentials. So let's run a command using the profile. And there we go, we can see the contents of the S3 bucket. So because that's in a different account, this is definitely proving that we have now configured these credentials and we're able to access it via the role. Now, if I were to go and let's just change to the directory where the credentials are stored. So as you know, the credentials are stored in this file here, so we can actually see them. Let's just delete that file, and then let's try and rerun that command to list the bucket. And of course, this time it's not going to work. Well, I'm trying to use the profile, so let's just delete out the profile and then just run it without the profile. And of course, I would get an access denied now. So that's showing you how we can assume a role by using the sts assume role command, and then take the temporary credentials, configure those for a profile, and then use that profile to then access the other account.